Now we're gonna find out. We gonna see. We gonna see. Okay. Where we at? We are live on TikTok. Tobin says, okay, paid healthcare. Are we going to do the healthcare debate all over again? Let me turn up the volume. Are we doing healthcare every day forever? Okay, we're live on YouTube. Perfect. Can we get some likes, guys? Tap the screen to like the live. Boost us up in the algorithm so that YouTube and TikTok know we're not playing. I need 1,000 likes before we even get started. User568 says, I'm a fellow future American. I don't know if I'll ever be an American because I don't want to be a citizen. But, yeah. Imi says, USA is too happy for the UK citizens. No, but to be fair, we do have, in the UK, we got good songs. We got Shady Bop, Bop, Bop. You got to be really happy to do that. Fix your face, don't catch me screwing. Actually, he's not happy because he said he's screw facing. In the USA, you guys call it mean mugging. In the UK, we call it screw facing. I actually like that song. Where's that song? See, UK music is good to me. I know people hate on UK music like pop did pop, pop did pop pop. Right, but I think UK music is good. This is good to me. Us UK people have better taste in music. I think UK music is dope. Jack Oliver says, I fully agree with the statement. Am I going to get copyrighted for playing this? West, 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 west. No, my things. West. Okay, I don't want to get copyrighted. Butterfly says, I have a cute face. Ah. You mean like teddy bear cute? Amy says we have better chocolate. UK chocolate is also better, I agree. Edwin says, at least in... Oh, God. The NPCs are here. Hi, NPCs. What's up, Gito, Bandito? Am I still like shadow banned? I've been shadow banned. I don't know what is up with my live. It's like trapped in like the 11 viewer jail. Cute, good looking. Oh, you say I'm good looking? I think I'm like a 6 out of 10. Gito says, I haven't seen you lately. Yeah, TikTok has literally just stopped showing my shit to people. It's really annoying. This guy says USA has a racist president, school shooting, paid healthcare, etc. Right, I'm gonna start grading people and their NPC levels. So like when you come on and you say shit, I'm gonna give you a number just so that everybody knows where we stand with you. So like if you say this shit, USA has a racist president, school shooting, paid healthcare. That is, to me, that is at least a level 9 NPC. You are a level 9. So when we address you, we're going to say, what's up, level 9? Just so that everybody knows, like, oh, we're dealing with a level 9 right now. He's got it real bad. Yeah, you're a level 9, bro. Like, 9 out of 10. I mean, like, 10 is the highest you can get of an NPC. You're welcome, you know. There you go. Ellie says Trump. Ellie, you a level... What's that? I think people with TDS, they're like a level... They're at least a level 6. Because you can have, like, reasonable criticisms of Trump, but their criticisms are always, like, the worst ones. He's racist. He's a rapist. Like, if you say that shit, you're, like, a level 6 at least NPC. At least a level 6. User568 says, why do people speak with so much conviction when they're so uninformed, LeMayo? Oh, they call it Dunning-Kruger, don't they? But then everybody does the Spider-Man meme with each other, accusing each other of Dunning-Kruger. Hey, you got Dunning-Kruger. No, you got Dunning-Kruger. So then it just becomes a meaningless accolade to ascribe to someone. Oh, you're suffering from Dunning-Kruger. Are you sure you're not suffering from Dunning-Kruger, which is why you think I'm suffering from Dunning-Kruger? Butterfly Borbolita says, I'm British, right? Yeah. I'm British, but apparently, according to some of the ethno-nationalists, they say I'm not British. So I guess they're ethno-nationalists, but they don't even understand the English language. So you can't help them. Inoperable. Because they don't know what British means, which is kind of ironic, isn't it? Edwin says they voted for an incompetent, deranged, diaper-wearing Oompa Loompa as president. So this guy, I'm going to give him a solid level 8. That's a level 8 NPC, guys. So I think once you get past sort of level 6.5, you can't even be reasoned with. Maybe level 7, like what? And he's like a level 8. So poor thing. Unfortunately, you can't reason with him. He's got TDS. He's got it real bad. And when they got the real bad TDS, all you have to do is just, give your blessing, hope that they pass on to the next life in good and proper fashion. But it's inoperable, unfortunately. Butterfly says, what's my background? I'm Igbo. I'm 100% Igbo Nigerian. Well, technically I'm not Nigerian, but I'm 100% Igbo. That's my ethnicity, and I'm British. TDS is Trump derangement syndrome. Reform UK fan says, so how come the UK legit made USA? You mean 250 years ago? So people that say that, you're on the level, that's like a solid level 6 NPC. Because that's like the equivalent of like black Americans who constantly talk about slavery. Like you're talking about shit that happened 200 years ago. Like move into the modern era. Like we have AI and shit now. You guys do realize that, right? Are you not mixed race? No, I'm not mixed race. I'm 100% Igbo. My mum is like my color and my dad is like blacker than the night sky. Boozle says you really know your stuff. I do know my stuff. Thank you. The Trashman says bro sounds more and more brainwashed every day. Can you give a single thing that I believe that makes me brainwashed? Just one. Just one. Just one little thing. Thanks for the gift, user 568. Joshua said you would absolutely hate it here. I've been many times to the USA. Butterfly says I look mixed race. I don't think I look mixed race. Maybe it's this light. Look, I'm caramel skinned. Oh, well, in winter I do get lighter, to be fair, but I still don't look mixed race in real life. But thank you for saying that you think I'm attractive. I appreciate that. I don't feel attractive right now because I need to sort my hair out. But I think a 6 out of 10 is like, I think that's a very attractive male. Like, if you get 6 out of 10 as a male, I would consider that a very attractive male. Personally, because it's not like a linear distribution, you know what I mean? So like 6 out of 10 would make you more attractive than like probably 70% of people, right? With a normal distribution, right? What's the 60th percentile? Let's do some chat GPTs on this because I actually find this interesting. So I guess the question is, if you're a 6 out of 10 and attractiveness is a normal distribution, what percentage of the population are you more attractive than? You guys fuck with this? Like, I think we need, there are objective measurements that people use, but it's not mainstream. Let's talk some. If you're a 6 out of 10 and attractiveness is a normal distribution, what percentage of the population are you more attractive than? And guys, keep tapping the screen to like the live because we're going to get guests on soon. We've got 3 people requesting, but we need to be at 1,000 likes to start getting guests on. So, yeah, exactly. So if you're a 6 out of 10, that makes you more attractive than 84.13% of the population. Do you get it? Because if it was a normal distribution. So I give myself like a 6, which means that in a room of 10 people, I would say there'd be 2 people more attractive than me. On average. Maybe I'm 5.5 out of 10 then. Maybe I'm 5.5 out of 10. Seren says that's just wrong, sorry. Seren, do you not understand what a normal distribution is? Poor thing. Anyway, let's get some comments. The real Chewy says, at least our schools are safe. Yes, the entirety of life is about school, that place where you get locked in a room and you need to ask when you need to take a shit. That's what life is all about. I mean, why are people even still sending their kids to school? It blows my mind that in 2025, people still send their kids to school. Like, what's the point? We have AI. Just teach them at home. Like, what the hell? Anyway, Daniel Brody says, why do you do this debate? Okay, I like answering this question. So this debate is interesting because when you compare the UK and USA, it means you can talk about capitalism and socialism. You can talk about race politics. You can talk about, the monetary system. You can talk about healthcare. You can talk about the current state of the UK and the political climate. You can talk about representative democracy, human rights, constitution, gun rights. There's so many really interesting things you can talk about. And whether people like it or not, we are still in the, what do they call it? Is it Anglophone? There's still an Anglophone social or cultural hegemony. So UK, whether people like it or not, the UK and the USA are still pretty much the two most culturally relevant places in the world. Now, it's debatable whether UK has fallen significantly down in terms of cultural relevance, but it's definitely still in the top 5 most culturally relevant, probably even top 3 most culturally relevant places. So talking about the UK and the USA, it makes for a really good discussion. Okay, we can get some people on now because we've got over 1k likes and we have a lot of requesters. So let's get through these requesters. Hey. Why did I just do such an offbeat white person click? Okay, what's up, Billy? Are you connected yet? Hello, Billy.
Hello.
You okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Cat got your tongue? You gonna speak or?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you.
I'm gonna speak, so
what's up? Tell me what.
Pardon?
What's up? Okay, let's just get you off. You can come back on when you figured out what you want to say. Someone said turn up my volume. Is my volume low? I don't think my volume's low. Can you guys tell me if my volume's low? That would be really helpful. My volume's fine. Thank you. I thought so. Check on YouTube, guys, if the volume's good on YouTube as well. It should be fine. I've got the levels quite under control. What's up, massive man? Pause.
How you doing, mate? You good?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting discussion because I have a colleague that moved back from the US to the UK because they thought it was preferable to live here than the US. So thought I'd jump up and we can have a chat about it.
Where did they move to in the US?
So he lived over there. I won't discuss kind of what he did over there, but he met his partner who's American, and they moved back. I can't remember what state they were in though. I think south somewhere, but I asked him recently why did you move back to the UK, and he was like, look, we've got a young daughter, and we feel it's much safer here, particularly in schools.
I have a theory that people that move to the USA from the UK for military purposes don't get a proper...
It wasn't military, mate.
Okay, I need to know, because obviously we can't really discuss it if I don't know where they moved.
He worked in sales.
He worked in sales, okay. And what state was it? You don't know the state?
I can't remember exactly what state. I want to say it was Utah or something along those lines.
But, that's not in the South.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but general consensus from him was, look, it's going to be safer for our daughter over in the UK, and we feel like our daughter will have a better upbringing within the UK.
Is that the only?
I think that was the main concern that they had was obviously violence within schools.
That's a bit of a weird concern to have, don't you think?
I think it's legitimate, isn't it? If I had a young kid and I saw the amount of I don't know if I can say the word GUN violence there was in the US, that would concern me. Of course it would.
Why would something that's extremely unlikely to happen concern you?
I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but I mean, it does feel like it is every other week that there is. It's the biggest killer amongst children in the US, isn't it?
I mean, what do you think should
not
be killing children?
Not necessarily in school, but what's it? Well, I mean, ideally nothing, but
what would be a normal thing to unalive children? Because children are pretty unlikely to die, right?
Yeah, of course. But I don't think you want to compound to reasons with kind of with guns.
So basically, he's against guns, so that's why he moved to the UK.
Yeah, I think that plays a role. Yeah, and it is obviously a massive thing, isn't it? Because when you live in Europe, like we do, I presume you're still in the UK, but when you live in Europe like we do, it's not really something that concerns you massively. It's not really a worry because gun violence is not almost non-existent in the UK. It does happen, but it's very, very rare.
Violence in general is extremely rare for most people.
Yeah, it depends where you're brought up.
Most, especially a young girl, I would argue that most young girls have never even been hit in their whole life.
Yeah, likely.
Why would violence be something that concerns him if he has a young girl in America? Like, that's
I don't want to speak too much on him. I just thought I would lead with that. But I think that would be a concern for me if I had young children. I mean, I find like the legalization of guns utterly I find it almost insanity. Like, why would you need to create that issue within your own country? Like, I understand why it was written into the amendments, right? I can understand the principle of it, but that principle no longer really applies because it was written at a time when, the government didn't have a military to the extent that they have.
It has nothing to do with the military.
I thought initially the Second Amendment was so the government couldn't become treasonous.
That's an inference, but the actual wording of the Constitution says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So it's saying that because it's necessary to have citizen militias in a free society, basically saying if you want to have a free society, people need to have guns, therefore don't infringe upon people's right to have guns. That's what it's basically saying.
What about high-powered explosives?
You mean like cannons?
Yeah, like grenades, rocket launchers. Why are they not legal if it's a free society?
They should be legal, but the thing is, they have a potential to cause random non-targeted damage. So I can see an argument for someone needing a hold on. I can see an argument for someone needing a license for explosives, but I still think they should be able to get them.
Grenades.
Yeah,
that's a pretty wild view, mate.
I'm pretty sure grenades are legal.
I don't think so.
I think they are. I think you can get them if you get a license. I know flamethrowers are legal in the USA.
Yeah, but my point being right, that of course you're entitled to your opinion, but from my perspective, look, I'm not pro guns, and I wouldn't really like to live in a society that is fundamentally pro guns, and I think a lot of people, particularly in the US, feel that same way, and feel unsafe.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that a police officer should have more right to defend themselves than a citizen?
Yes.
Okay, so you think police should have more rights in terms of self-defense than a citizen has? Why?
Well, they serve a purpose in terms of defending the public. I mean, we can't live in a state where defence is left to an individual. We have a police force to enforce the laws. Right?
So you think that everybody should have to rely on the police to defend them and not be able to effectively defend themselves?
In an ideal world, you would do that, but of course there's going to be instances. What's that? Sorry.
Why is that ideal when the police are very corrupt?
I don't think UK police are that corrupt.
You mean you don't know that they're corrupt?
Well, I don't. I think. But in terms of if we're looking around the globe, like the UK police are not very corrupt.
All police
compared
are
to corruption can include like bribery or
Do you know why all police are definitely corrupt?
Go for it, mate. Tell me.
Because all human beings are corrupt. All human beings have the ability to become tyrants, have the ability to become corrupt, have the ability to be unfair, to be bullies, and so no human being should have like more rights that like in terms of defense, so defending your life, why should one group of people who work for the state be able to defend their life effectively, but everybody else shouldn't be able to defend their life effectively?
I mean that's true to a certain extent. I think the real problem is when you have guns to the extent that they have them in America, they ultimately fall into the wrong hands. I mean, you have 300 million people, right, and a lot of them are going to be nutters. A lot of them will be. It's just the law of averages, isn't it? So when you allow people like that to have items that are so that can be used in such excessive force, that doesn't make for a safe place.
So your problem is the fact that it's possible for someone to get a gun and commit mass violence. Okay,
yes, of course.
If something has the propensity to cause serious mass harm, you think it should be banned?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Or at least heavily regulated.
Should we ban cars and lighters then, and gasoline?
Well, that's a good point. However, they have quite a practical use outside of unaliving people.
Guns have a more practical use than cars and lighters because
what would you use a gun for that's not when it's not either hunting or killing someone?
Hunting, sports shooting, self-defense. Those would be the.
You can do sports shooting in the UK.
No, but self-defense would be the main reason. That's more important than anything.
Yeah, but then you're typically coming up against somebody that also has a gun, and it's quite hard to defend yourself.
Not necessarily. I mean, do you believe in women's rights?
Yes, of course.
So how can a woman defend herself against a man if she can't have a weapon?
It's a good question. The thing is, I mean, you have a lot of states in the US that you don't have the right to concealed carry. So it would be interesting to see the numbers of assaults on women in those states compared to the states that allow concealed carry. Well, and I bet you there's not much difference.
Concealed carry is gradually becoming something that every state is implementing without a license. It's called constitutional carry, and there was a landmark court case with the Supreme Court against, I think it's New York Shooting Authority or something like that, where it was ruled that it's unconstitutional to not issue people with concealed carry licenses, and they had to do a shall issue and not a may issue. So gradually loads of states have become constitutional carry. Most recently we've got, I think Florida was 2022, then we've got North Carolina, I think was 24 if I'm not mistaken, or 23. So gradually all the states will become constitutional carry states unless the trend reverses. So that's a good thing, that the states are becoming constitutional carry. I don't know about the data you just described about if
I don't know, so it would be interesting. But rather than labour on that point, I'll bring up another point and then I'll drop down so you can get someone else up, mate. But I was thinking about this recently, and I think if I was very working class or was quite poor, I'd much rather be in the UK. I think in terms of state benefits, in terms of the welfare state, I mean, it really is much better in the UK than it is the US.
The welfare
virtually
state.
Every metric.
You're saying it's better that everybody's dependent on the government.
That's not. You're right. That's not necessarily a good thing. However, people in poverty, I mean, they don't choose to be. Most people don't choose to be in poverty. They just so happen to be in that situation. And I think if I was having to be reliant on the state, I would much rather it was the UK than the US. Like last time I was in the States, I was kind of blown away by on the Vegas Strip how many severely mentally ill people there were that shouldn't be out in public.
Well, you're on the Vegas Strip. The Vegas Strip is not the whole of the United States.
Oh yeah, of course. No, but I'm just using that as an example because that's where it was. But I was amazed at the amount of people with severe mental illnesses that were homeless on the Strip that in the UK just would not be out in public.
Do you realise that the UK has a higher rate of homelessness than the United States does?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely
true. So people
are
out on the Strip a lot because it's Vegas and because it's California and because it's Chicago, because it's New York, they go and congregate in places where the government is more likely to assist them, or where the weather is more favorable to being outside.
No, it's very true. No, you're absolutely right. But my point being is, in the UK, if you were quite severely mentally ill, or you had quite a severe health issue, do you know you would be looked after? You would be taken in.
You would be sectioned.
You might be sectioned. Yeah,
that doesn't help.
Less of a threat to the public.
So you think it's better that the homeless people just get sectioned and hidden from public view?
I think if you're mentally ill, yeah.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that doesn't make them go away. It just means that you're not seeing them.
Well, I mean, they would at least be getting help. That's the point.
You mean help from the government?
Yes, of course.
You mean like housing and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, housing, healthcare, whatever it is.
So the metric there would be what percentage of people are homeless, right? Because your suggestion is that they should be getting help from the government in order to be housed. Therefore, the UK is better because they should get that. But if they're not actually getting it, when we measure the outcome, then doesn't that kind of refute the argument? Wouldn't we have to actually look and see what the percentage of unhoused people actually is?
Yeah, to some extent.
Do you get what I'm saying? So
yeah, I get it.
It would make more sense to compare, instead of saying, well, they should, could, would get this in the UK. Why don't we see if they actually get it? It's kind of like the healthcare argument. Everyone's like, we should get free healthcare that's accessible, but then we don't get it. And everyone's like, well, the UK is better because we should get it, but we don't get it. So is it really better if we're not getting the things we're supposed to get?
Yeah, I mean the NHS isn't perfect by any stretch, but I would take it in preference to what the US has. I mean, 11% of Americans don't have access to any healthcare.
That's not true.
Well, no, it is.
That's not. 8% are uninsured, but all people have access to different forms of healthcare in the United States. It just depends on how much they pay, when they pay, if they get treated. But the people that are the poorest have access to healthcare in the United States. They have.
But this is the big thing that Bernie Sanders talks about a lot is because, you're right. The poorest people do qualify for Medicare, Medicaid, whichever one it is. But there's a sort of there's a void of people that are left out. Do you know that don't quite meet the thresholds for it, but don't have quite enough money for insurance?
Yeah, but those people, it's not that they don't have access to healthcare, though. They have access to healthcare. They just have to pay for it in a different way. Hell, if I was in the USA, I would be in that category. I'd be in the uninsured category because I would deliberately make the choice to not get insurance because it makes more sense mathematically to be uninsured.
So you break your leg and then you're hit with a 40 grand bill.
Yes, I would rather that than paying guaranteed money to the NHS. It makes more sense.
And
you wouldn't get a 40 grand bill. It depending on where you are. But if you did,
break your leg and you're bankrupt.
Really?
I mean,
why are you speaking in such hyperbole?
I'm not. But that genuinely happens to people.
It happens to who? What percentage of people do you think break their leg and go bankrupt as a result?
Get cancer, go bankrupt because.
But what percentage of people go bankrupt because they got cancer?
I would need to look that up, but the proportion. It's quite a high number of people.
What percentage of people do you think it is? If you had to estimate,
I don't know. I don't want to make up figures out the top of my head.
Because a lot of the issue with America is Americans consume a lot of media. And did you know that when you watch a video of something or a movie, your brain actually thinks that thing happened? That's why you can watch something and you get the feelings. In your subconscious mind, your mind believes that it happened. So a lot of the things people believe about America, they actually saw it in a movie. And they think that that's reality, but it's actually a movie you saw about someone who got cancer and couldn't afford their healthcare bill. But in reality, it doesn't work how they show you in the movies.
This is literally what Bernie Sanders' whole political career has been about. He says his whole thing is about how the USA is the richest country in the world, and the fact that it doesn't have a free at the point of use healthcare system is the biggest stain on the country.
It does have a free at the point of use healthcare system
for poor people.
For everybody, the healthcare is free at the point.
Well,
of
no,
use.
not if you're paying insurance premiums for it.
You can get free healthcare at the point of you can get healthcare free at the point of use, even if you don't have insurance.
Even those insurance premiums don't cover everything, so
they cover more than the NHS covers.
It depends what insurance premium you take.
The average US health insurance plan covers more than what the NHS covers.
Well, there you go. Someone in this chat's put like 500,000 go bankrupt each year because of medical costs.
Out of 350 million people.
That's quite a lot.
That's not a lot. Out of 350 million people. But they go bankrupt. Yeah, but they go, I think you're older than me. You will know that bankruptcy is when the person doesn't have to pay the same amount of the bill. The bill is drastically reduced. So that means that they didn't pay that bill.
Well, you declare bankruptcy, but then it makes you ineligible for things like mortgage or loans. It'll effectively hammer you for the rest of your life.
It doesn't hammer you for the rest of your life, but that's large if you have a bill of 500k and you go bankrupt instead of making monthly payments on it, that's a strategic move by you. You can also call up the people that you're paying the bill to and agree a payment amount, a monthly payment amount, and they have to oblige people that have financial hardship. So it's very simplistic to make out like, oh, you just got a bill, you can't afford it, you're bankrupt, now you're homeless on the street. That virtually happens to nobody.
Well, no, you won't necessarily go homeless being made bankrupt. However, it will have huge ramifications on your future.
That's the trade-off for not paying hundreds of thousands in medical debt. Do you get it? So it's a mechanism that allows you to not pay that large bill. And remember, when somebody goes bankrupt, remember the people that we're designating as bankrupt due to medical bills, it was actually not just the medical bill. It's usually their medical bill, their mortgage, their personal debt, that all plays into it. But they will be designated as having gone medically bankrupt just because that would be one of the things that played into their bankruptcy. But of course, bankruptcy is about all of your overall ability to pay all your bills, right? It's about your overall financial situation. So it's even possible that the person can go bankrupt because they had a massive personal debt and then they had like a 10k or 5k medical bill, and in totality then they declare bankruptcy. Do you understand?
Here's the thing though, you could have, a French style system, a German style system, an Australian style system, but that does take contributions from employers or from income. It costs the state less than it does per capita in the USA, and you get a pretty darn good service without, hundreds of thousands of people either going bankrupt or people being left on with no type of insurance at all.
I totally agree, and that's what I advocate for on my lives almost every day, is a mixed healthcare system not dissimilar to Australia's. But you have to understand that system is actually more similar to the USA than it is to the UK system.
It's kind of like a hybrid system, isn't it? But
yes, the USA has a hybrid system, yeah.
So, but anyway, mate, I'll drop down and I'll let somebody else go up. But yeah, good chatting with you, man. And
nice
I'll
speaking to you, mate.
Come up another time. All right.
Cheers, man. Take care. Bye bye. Radical Mothering. I tried to bring you on. You okay there, Radical Mothering?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I'm American, obviously, live in America, and I think that people really don't understand, especially from outside of the United States, don't understand the healthcare system as a whole, because we hear all of this rhetoric from people like, Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
Literally everyone in the United States has access to health care.
Yes.
Whether or not they pay for that health care is a completely separate issue. And there are multiple ways people go about paying for it, even if you're poor. Poor people have access to medical assistance in the United States. Pregnant women have 100% coverage under medical assistance in the United States.
Yes.
We have the option of private health insurance that you pay for. We have employer-assisted, employer-paid health insurance.
Oh, you're breaking up. Your connection is breaking up.
Spend like $550 a month to cover my husband, myself, and our children.
Your connection keeps breaking up. But I also wanted to add that a lot of people don't know that you also get around September you get the Affordable Care Act plans as well.
Lower income.
Your connection is breaking up. I don't know if you realize we can't hear you because of your connection.
Have it on the books that if you make under X amount of
I have to drop you down. Radical Mothering, if you can hear me, we couldn't hear you because your connection was cutting in and out, but what you were saying was really on point, so it wasn't because of what you were saying, it was because your connection was cutting in and out, so sorry about that. If you can come back on, I'll bring you back on. It'll be great to have you back on. But she was raising really great points, which are that there are numerous ways that you can pay for healthcare. So there's employer subsidized insurance. Then you've got, which people never talk about this for some reason, around September or October, the marketplace opens for Affordable Care Act plan health insurance, and that's heavily subsidized health insurance plans that you can get. And in addition, those plans are legally obliged to cover other things like mental health or certain therapies, and those things are more than what the NHS provides. I don't think people realize that the healthcare plans in America cover more than what the NHS covers. So when people talk about, they don't cover everything, they cover more than the NHS covers. So that's one. And in addition, there is so many different ways to pay for healthcare, and you do have access to healthcare. Again, it's about whether you pay for it. They are legally obliged to give you healthcare to stabilize you. And then once you're stable, they then talk about payment plans, and they also have to provide means for people who are experiencing financial hardship to pay. And you can negotiate a bill all the way up to 100% off. So you can actually get medical bills in the USA, tell the hospital, I can't pay this, and they can forgive the bill. In fact, that happens to a lot of UK citizens that go over to America, have health issues, experience, end up with a massive medical bill. And a lot of people come on here actually, and they try and say, I went to America and I got $100,000 medical bill, and I'm like, did you pay it? And they're like, oh no, I didn't pay it, I negotiated it and didn't have to pay it. Exactly. And US citizens can also do that. Maladroit says navigating medical billing is horrible and not easy to manage at all. Okay, man, I mean, it's if you're an adult and you don't want to manage your affairs, I don't know what to tell you. If you want the state to manage your affairs because you simply don't want to do it, then I guess live in a socialist country. That would probably favor you. RJ says no, US citizens cannot do that. Yes, they can. So this is another major problem, is the lack of intelligence. I won't say intelligence, I'll say lack of education, where Americans themselves don't even understand how their own system works. So this person, for example, is claiming that you can't negotiate a bill all the way down to zero, and you actually can. So that means that they don't even know how their own healthcare system works. Scary. What's up, moving Swan? Moving Swan, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
What's up?
I'm good. Just listen to your live shows. Very interesting.
Okay. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah. I live in the UK, and I lived in America before. But when it comes to peace of mind, I think the UK is the place to stay. When it comes to crime with guns, I think the UK is the place to stay.
Are those your two main concerns? I mean, you're mainly concerned about gun violence, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So would you only live? I mean, what do you think the level of crime in a society that you're willing to accept is? Because obviously everywhere has crime, everywhere has gun crime. So what level of gun crime do you think is reasonable? Like, if you had to give a likelihood of experiencing gun crime in a given year, what would you say would be a reasonable amount that you'd be willing to accept?
I'd say about 50%.
50%? What do you mean?
Yeah.
You mean you would live somewhere if you had a 50-50 chance of getting shot in a year? I wouldn't live somewhere like that. That's like worse than a war zone. I don't know if you understood the question. I'm saying, what percentage, if I had to say you have 10% likelihood of getting shot in a year, would you live in that place? Or if I said you have 1% likelihood, like what percentage likelihood of getting shot
Thank you for clarifying me.
would you be willing to?
I say about 5%.
5%? What do you think the likelihood of getting shot in America is?
I would go about 95%.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you took percentages in high school or secondary school or what, but obviously it's not 95%. 95% would mean that 95% of people get shot in a given year.
Everybody carry gun, bro. They get people die of guns every 20 seconds.
Yes, but there's 350 million people, so the likelihood of a person getting shot is not 95%, because that would mean that 95 out of 100 people get shot in a year. So you'd be talking about over 320 million people a year getting shot. That would basically mean that pretty much everyone in America, other than like children under the age of 4, gets shot every year. Like, that would be like you lining up every day for, you know, or going to school, and every year instead of getting a flu shot, you get a bullet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you live in America?
No, but I've stayed in America for extended periods of time.
Do you think living in America and do you think living in America is better?
If you want to be free, yeah. If you want to have freedom and economic prosperity, then yeah. If you want to be taken care of by the government, then it's better to live in the UK.
Okay, then. Understand. Okay.
Yeah.
In the UK, you don't have no freedom.
You have less freedom than you have in the USA.
Okay. Why is that though?
Because of the way the laws in the UK are set up. It's like a nanny state, so they restrict the freedoms of the majority so that a minority can feel a certain way, and also so that they can protect the state, because there's a lot of corruption in the UK, and they cover it up by silencing people and taking their rights away so that people don't know about the corruption.
That's the truth.
There's corruption in the USA too, but it's kind of gets exposed more easily because of how they have more freedom of press and stuff.
Right. Because I see like even the freedom of speech, you're trying to take that away from you. The little bit that you have, they're trying to take it away from you from the UK.
Yeah, we don't really have freedom of speech in the UK, unfortunately.
Yeah. So if they see you say anything wrong against the government on Twitter or any social media, they could come to your house and arrest you. It's
not necessarily against the government. It's more against people who are considered to have protected characteristics. So that would be like, typically it'll be like black people, women. I don't think women are protected from offence by the equality. I think you can say disparaging things about women, but I think they're trying to introduce a bill that would include women in that. But it's like disabled people, transgender people, homosexuals. Like, generally speaking, that's the people who you can't say certain things about, but also you're not allowed to cause people distress with your speech. So if it's considered that you said something that caused somebody alarm or distress, then you can be arrested in the UK.
So would they consider of alarm and distress?
It's just open to the interpretation of whatever judge presides over your case. If you have a magistrate's case, or if you have a trial by judge, it's just up to, I guess, the jury. But you get dragged through the system. So, I mean, obviously, it makes sense to always elect for a jury trial. If anybody knows about the system, then they'll know. Most of the time, you want to elect for a jury trial. Your jury trials have like a 50% chance of guilty and not guilty when you plead not guilty. So if you take it to trial and plead not guilty, that's your highest percentage likelihood of getting off the case if you're charged. But obviously that depends on what you're being charged with, and the if they got CCTV on you, then you want to plead guilty. But generally speaking, so it depends on the case, it depends on the jury. But the fact that you even get arrested, charged, and have to regularly turn up to court over words that cause somebody temporary offense is insane. And it doesn't even have to cause someone offense under the Public Order Act. It can be something that is likely to cause someone distress.
Wow. So listen, I saw like a couple of weeks ago, they tried to arrest a preacher who's preaching the gospel. And it's a shame to see that you can't even open the Bible and preach the word of God anymore.
Well, it depends, because theoretically speaking, you should be protected, but they will really like fine-tooth comb what you say. So, for example, if you say the book of Leviticus says that thou shalt not lay with I see where you see where I'm going with this. Thou shalt not lay with this person as with this person. Then you're gonna have a stronger case. But then if you say, I think you shouldn't lay with this person as with this person, then they'll say, well, you didn't express a religious belief. That was your personal belief, so I'm gonna arrest you. It doesn't make sense, but this is how tyranny manifests. Tyranny is illogical, because tyranny is the egomaniacal expression of an insecure person, and it's not normal for people to be insecure. Insecurity is a function of malnutrition, hysteria, mental illness, weak people being in power when they shouldn't be. That's unnatural. So obviously tyranny doesn't make sense because it's unnatural.
Wow. So I mean, in America, you have more freedom of speech than the UK.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course.
Wow.
All right, I appreciate you moving. Thank you for hearing me out.
I'm gonna follow you, man. I like listening to you, man. You're very educated, smart guy. I like that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'd say 50% of the chat disagrees with you, because they're like communists. We got a lot of communists these days. So this is my weapon. My tongue is as a weapon, and I wield it against the hordes of communist brainwashed NPCs. We're fighting a battle right now.
Yeah, man. All right, bro. I'm gonna follow you, man.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, bro.
Cece says she's not a communist. Cece, don't worry. I'm going to bring you over to the dark side. But it's okay, baby. You just stay there waiting for me. I'm coming. I'm bringing you over to the dark side. Radical Mothering says the communists who never do any critical thinking, and I'm no Republican either. I think being a Republican, I mean, obviously, if you are in support of the grand old party, then I guess there can be easy criticisms there. They've been captured by the Zionist lobby, the pharmaceutical lobby, and other lobbies. And political lobbying is a serious problem, whether you're Republican or Democrat. But if you are a Republican, as in not necessarily a supporter of the Republican Party, but a Republican, then that would be a logical position, considering that America, of course, is a constitutional republic. And what makes America America is essentially the Republican tradition, right? G Robot says being a Republican makes you a traitor. Okay, that's ridiculous. Radical Mothering says the GOP is gross and purchased. Yeah, it's political lobbying that's a problem. Beaver says, okay, but we have Jeremy Clarkson. I think that's a pretty good big upside. Jeremy Clarkson's pretty cool. He's pretty cool.
Hello.
What's up, Mr. Griff?
Yeah, you can stick with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you say the US is better than the UK? I mean, like, just like from a basic level, do you mean like social safety nets? Do you mean like economic freedom? What do you mean?
So I kind of look at it from, I call it first principles. So I look at what is the most basic things that I believe I would need in order to have a prosperous life, or because it's obviously just my opinion, right? So if you look at like the writings of the founding fathers of America, when they wrote about their governance system, they were basically trying to create a system that is a government that solves the issues of the UK, but simultaneously is based as close to as possible to natural law, right? So that's why they said things like XYZ being necessary to the security of a free state. So they're basically trying to create the freest state without having, you know, wanton chaos, right? So I look at the same kind of things they look at when I consider what do I want? What is my first principles of what I'd need? Things like free speech, the ability to speak freely, the ability to defend yourself, the ability to engage in free enterprise, the ability to have children and be able to have a say over what how your children live, the ability to purchase land and have private property. This is the principles that the UK and the USA are supposed to be based on. Now, a lot of these principles were exported from the UK to the USA in sort of the 1700s, right? But the UK has now deviated from many of these principles because they have deviated from their constitutional tradition. And that's because of how the UK is governed. So I think the USA is better, sorry, I went on along with that, but to wrap it up, it's better because it's a system that provides more freedom for its citizens.
So I guess, how do you reconcile that with the fact that both of those systems never included like 80% of their effective population in that sexual system, right? Like Britain, they didn't include any of their imperial subjects in the empire, to that they were subject to terrible conditions. Similarly, in America, the indigenous and black people here were like a second class, well past the Jim Crow South era. So it's like saying it aligns with you, but not saying how the system actually fails to live up to its own values is a bit strange, you know?
Great point. And the reality is that both countries have histories where wealthy elitists have monopolized power, exploited people, etc. But the truth is that the USA has evolved past that. If you actually look at some of the the hallmark rulings, because it's funny, one of the most unpopular court decisions in US history is actually considered to be the decision that deprived citizenship to certain people based on their race. Do you understand? So there have been people in the history of the USA who have gone against what is now considered to be the mainstream Republican, or let's say American tradition. And those are people that believe that some people should have rights, some people shouldn't have rights. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the UK...
Wait, can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yeah, sure.
So if what you're talking about, if you're highlighting people going against the grain, wouldn't that mean that the majority, the people who are like foundationally a part of America, are exclusionary? They can't embody those ideals, right? Like, so let's just focus on the founding fathers, right?
Yeah.
They were rabid slavers, right? Like Thomas Jefferson within himself was famous for shuffling his slaves across state lines in order to bypass the statute of limitations for the terms in which a person could be enslaved in America, right? Okay. So you can't bring me a person like that who's literally taking away the personal freedoms of people, but writing on a document, you know, that in the American Bill of Rights, that all people are created equal, basically argue for self-determination. Right. So what I'm saying is, you're presenting to me this like propagandized view of like American or like Anglo politics, But ignoring the vast reality of it is that most Americans are really conservative, right? That's why they elected Donald Trump. Most Britons are probably pretty conservative, especially when you compare them to say like anywhere in like Asia or the Middle East, right? And when I'm saying conservative, I mean things like pulling back on social safety nets, xenophobia, stuff like that.
So
And those are the things that limit freedom in these countries, right?
I disagree with that, but I want to address some of your earlier points. First of all, my view is not a propagandized view. It is a view based on the current status quo. So I was just going to finish my previous point about, if you look into American history, there is evidence of people being oppressed. There's evidence of people having their rights restricted. But many of those traditions have been overturned, you understand, in the modern era. Now, I get what you're saying. You're saying, how can something built on this be, how can a tree with, a rotten foundation bear good fruit or whatever? That's essentially the point you're making. But the problem with that argument is every country in the world, if you go back into its history, has a so-called rotten foundation. When I talk about the American tradition, is actually a tradition that evolved over hundreds of years. So you can't just look at what the founding fathers did and say, that's America. America has evolved further. Now, when you compare countries, you can say, yes, both countries have a history of this, that, and third. But again, first of all, not every country has that. But also in the UK, they haven't moved past that. In other words, the UK still has a crown. We're still subjects of the crown. We don't have guaranteed inalienable rights in the UK. So you can see that in America, they have addressed the issue of, so to speak, all men. Hold on, let me finish. They've addressed the issue of all men are created equal, in a sense that at the very least on the legal books, I'm not saying it's implemented fairly in reality, but on the books, they have addressed the issue. Now, in America, whether you're black, white, yellow, female, male, Asian, you have the ability to prosper, to live free, and to get recompense if you are subject to abuse or oppression, right? And
No. Can I explain?
Sure.
So what you're saying, right, doesn't bear out statistically speaking. America is less than 10% of the world's population, but we have like 25% of the world's prison population, right?
Okay.
And that's specifically because under the 13th Amendment of America, slavery, that's the Emancipation Proclamation for people who just know the buzzword, slavery isn't fully outlawed. It is reserved specifically as a punishment for a crime. Yeah. So what you have, right, in say like Mississippi, you have McDonald's, and I've seen these with my own eyes, McDonald's restaurants that lease prisoners from their local state or private prisons for employmentship, right? That is a person who is in no way able to get recompense because his subjugation is written into law.
So are you suggesting that people shouldn't be imprisoned if they commit crimes?
I'm suggesting that slavery isn't a proper punishment for a crime.
Okay, but if a person is put in a cage, whether they are put to work or not, they have been deprived of their right to freedom, right?
No. If I put a person in a cage and I give him a computer, a book, a teacher, and a therapist, I have not taken freedom from him. I've given him the ability to evolve past.
Does he have the freedom to leave the prison cell?
Not if he's an active danger, right? I know what you're trying to do. Right?
So of course, he has been deprived of his freedom, right? So you recognize that there are circumstances wherein a person can be deprived of their freedom if they commit crimes, right?
You're trying to like boil this down to a semantic point, but there's a reason we send someone to like an education center versus like solitary confinement. We understand in these scenarios that we're separating someone who's a danger to themselves to give them access to resources. Do you believe
that people who commit crimes should be imprisoned?
I get what you're trying to get this like boiled down.
Don't worry about what I'm trying to do. Just answer the questions.
No, I don't believe in prison.
You don't believe in prison?
I believe in reform.
So you don't believe somebody who's a murderer should be apprehended and imprisoned?
Come on, mate. I'm honestly like a little disappointed. You know, I obviously believe active
You
threats,
you just said that you don't believe in prison, so
but like
why are you disappointed that I'm holding you accountable for what you yourself are saying?
you're not holding me accountable. You're trying to win a semantical argument.
Stop
You obviously
assuming
believe-
what I'm trying to do and worry about your own arguments. I'm asking you
my
basic questions. Do you said you don't believe in prison, so I asked you, do you think that somebody who commits murder should be imprisoned?
Obviously not. No, they should go to a doctor. Most like statistically speaking, right? Most crimes of like say murder are crimes of passion. They aren't premeditated. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer type of beat. There's someone who has an irrational response to something. That's just I think it's like 78% of crimes. I don't think we should lock those people into boxes. No.
Okay. So your argument, just so that I understand, is you think that because America has the most people in the world, I think, yeah, locked in
prison.
boxes, in spite whether they committed a crime or not, you are arguing that that means that people don't have the ability to be free and prosperous, or you're saying there's a limited ability for people to be free and prosperous because of the criminal
I'm saying
justice
we
system?
have a system that has an invested interest in perpetuating prison industrial situations, right? So it's like saying you have the freedom to do whatever you want in this country, but because you live in this country and your skin's brown, any crime you commit, you might likely go to jail unreparably. Compared to,
Is
like, you
it
don't have a
because their
reasonable-
skin is brown, or is it because they're part of a cohort of the population that commits violent crime at higher rates
Well,
than
do
other?
you want to talk about the sentencing rates between like POC and non-POC people in America? Because statistically speaking,
Sure.
POC get much harsher prison sentences.
Are you controlling for the fact that they're also more likely to have committed crimes previously than other groups of people?
Yes, yes.
Are you
yes, I am.
controlling for the fact that people are more likely to go to prison if they can't be shown to be doing beneficial things in society? And that happens.
What do you mean? What is beneficial to society?
Right, so if you go to court and you get convicted of a crime, and you usually they'll do, if you're going to go to prison, they'll do like a pre-sentencing report, or they'll do some kind of psychological evaluation on you. They'll get some kind of insight into who you are and what you do. Now, if you say, "Oh man, I'm just in these streets, man. I bang blood," right? Then they're going to say
Wow.
this person is less likely to be beneficial to society. But if you say,
So you-
well, hold on, let me
right.
finish. Well, but if you say, well, I committed a serious offense, but I'm a father. Other than this, I've got good character. You know, I volunteer at my local homeless shelter. You're less likely to go to prison. So because of the culture and gang culture afflicting certain minority cultures more than others, they're less likely to be involved in the kind of things that keep you away from prison, and they're more likely to have previous records. They're more like they have other things that make them more likely to be imprisoned. It's not just
That's not how
about their race.
sociology works, brother. That's like, first off, you're ignoring the very broad thing of like economic exclusion, right? Crime happens in proximity to poverty. That's just that's the fact of society, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that these people's culture is responsible for their like quote unquote antisocial behavior.
I didn't
But in
say that. I
actuality-
said gang culture afflicts those certain cultures more than others.
What's the difference? What's the difference between gang culture afflicts these individuals and their culture tends towards violence?
The
Because-
difference is that not the mainstream elements of African American culture do not tend towards violence. The majority of African Americans are non-violent, but they are
Okay.
more afflicted by a culture that it is violent. They're more likely to be engaged in gang violence than other
And that's
groups of people.
because of their exclusion from the broader economic system due to Jim Crow, segregation, things like that, right?
It may well be, but your argument is that they're being imprisoned primarily
They
because
are.
of their race. But I'm
They
saying
are,
that it's
that's-
more complex than just they're being imprisoned because of their race. It's
No, that's what
because they're
critical
more
race
likely
theory is,
to
right?
be
That's
in
what
gangs.
these understandings of social economics at this level is that people, there's no actual like genetic difference between a black person and a white person.
Of
aside
course
from
there
the
is.
quantum- No,
Yes,
right?
there is.
So stop that.
So
We're
you don't
talking
believe
about-
in genetics?
I'm talking about things that determine stuff like the ability to blend into a society. There's an inherent violence to one racial group. That's what I'm talking about, right?
I didn't say there's an inherent violence, but there's genetic differences.
No, I know. What I'm trying to do, right, is draw this very succinct line that a human being, whether they're born in the UK or born in America, is still a human being.
Yes.
So when we have these groups of people who systemically are imprisoned more, are policed heavier, things like that, what we have to do is say, well, they're still human, right? So we have to look at what conditions are causing this, because it's not a genetic component. So it can't be anything other than their skin tone, because you can't see a person's culture. You can't look at a person in a car and determine what language they speak.
I agree that the mental health crisis in the African American community needs to be addressed, and that they should be doing root cause analysis around why they're more afflicted by gang culture, gang violence. But I think that there are other elephants in the room with respect to the African American community that make it more obvious why they are more likely to be in prison.
Can you give me some highlights? Exactly.
Yeah, for example, they're much less likely to come from two-parent homes. They're much less likely to be educated at a high level. So they're less likely to do things that make you less likely to go to prison.
So and you don't believe that's a result of their direct economic disposition in America, right? Like in America,
No.
our schools aren't. So just let me finish here before you say no, because I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. In America here, our schools are funded by property taxes. So
Okay.
if I'm in a poor district, I have less access to higher qualified teachers, less access to more up to date. Like I went to a school in southern Detroit where my textbooks were literally stitched together, right? So you have an introduction to education in a system that is inherently discouraging and oppressive. Do you not see that as the culture that you're quote unquote bringing up being directly impacted by the material conditions of the people?
I've never said that the culture is not impacted by the material conditions of the people. I've said that I don't think that they're directly targeting people based on their race to imprison them. I think that they're imprisoned at a higher rate because of other factors, including their material condition, including the state of their families, including lack of education, including other things, that some of those things are caused by the government. For example, it's quite clear to me that the African American culture is preyed upon by big corporations who promote the use of certain drugs. They promote negative stereotypes. They promote bad food. This is done by big corporations, and if people they don't have economic mobility, or if they have a lack of education, they're more easily preyed upon by big corporations that have, an agenda. But at the same time, people who indulge in cultural practices that are not beneficial to them are also more likely to be preyed upon. And people who I won't even say glorify, but people who don't necessarily condemn the kind of things that make you more likely to go to prison, like, for example, not having a father as the head of the household, that obviously is going to play into why you're more likely to go to prison. I mean, they did a study in Canada on single parenthood, and it was found that the children that come from single mother households have the worst outcomes of any other group. And even children from single father households had similar outcomes to people from two parent households. So a culture where there's a really high rate of children coming from single mother households is obviously going to have some of the worst outcomes.
And so you don't believe that the higher rate of policing, purposeful imprisonment, and things of that nature has anything to do with fathers being removed from the homes and having a higher generation of single-parent households?
It probably has something to do with it, but so I don't think it's the majority.
I don't understand your worldview, man. I'm trying.
I don't understand why you view people as not independent of their own decision making. Like, you're acting as though they're solely passive as opposed to active individuals. They also make decisions. Some of the decisions that human beings make can be wrong. Some of the cultural practices can be wrong. But you're acting as though everything is just happening to African Americans, but that's not the case.
I mean, that is exactly what the entire history of African Americans are, right? Like, you don't have a connection to anything cultural or historical. It's just like decades and decades of systemic displacement, right? You have like the Great Migration period in the South after the Emancipation Proclamation is signed, and you have this like almost expelling this kind of like pogrom of Black people from the South to force them into like the industrial sector of the North, things like that. Like these are very purposeful things that are literally stripping the economic opportunity from these communities. You can't say these people have the responsibility to care for themselves in a place where they can't get bank loans, they can't buy houses, things like that. Like, I get what you're saying, but how do I pull myself up by my bootstraps or correct my culture in a place in which I literally cannot interact with the broader economic or social structure?
You can. I actually have a theory. You won't like this because I know you probably can disagree with most of the things I say. But I actually have a theory that I'm developing, not formally, just informally, about how to solve some of the issues in the United States. And I think that Black people should spread themselves across the country more. I think instead of remaining in communities with high percentage African Americans, they should spread and form smaller communities in different areas that slowly grow larger in different places than in the inner cities of most states.
That's directly contrary to redlining, though, right? Like here in America, we have this you probably heard of it, practice called redlining, where banks literally write in their underwriting, or insurance agencies, things like that, they section off these areas that are historically minority, and they literally give them a non-compete clause, which is to say, we won't allow these people to compete economically in this area.
Okay,
right? Like that's a thing that we documented, right?
Okay, so find the clause in their policy that says that, and you got a nice lawsuit on your hands, don't you?
Oh, brother, you're like purposefully obtuse.
I think it's not that I'm obtuse. It's that you don't seem to understand the actual way of combating systemic abuse. Because I am somebody that's experienced systemic. Let me finish.
I'm gonna hire a lawyer.
Let me finish. I am actually a victim of systemic abuse myself, and I have had to learn ways to fight the system and try to hold the system accountable, and it's extremely difficult. But when I propose solutions, if all you have is more complaining, then nothing will ever get solved. At the end of the day, somebody has to come up with solutions to the issues.
I have solutions. I just don't think you would agree with them.
What are your solutions?
I would model American culture after the Black Panther aspects, right? Things like free food programs in the mornings, things like communal education programs in the afternoons, things like that, right? These are things that have historically been tried in Black communities in America, things like Tulsa. You might heard like Black Wall Street. Unfortunately, our government does allow people like the KKK to literally bomb them and burn them down. So it's this really interesting thing where like I know, and I think Black people here have been trying to implement these solutions of trying to build our own communities and spread ourselves across the diaspora of America and build wealth for ourselves and embrace a culture of quote unquote consumerism. But it doesn't seem like they want us. So I feel as though we should reject it and lean more towards like socialism.
I don't think that's a good solution. And I think that in spreading yourself across America, Black people should purchase land and live off of the land and build communities based on living off the land. I think that would be a great way to try to recapture some of the American essence that your forefathers helped to create. I think socialism is hustling backwards.
You think it's hustling backwards?
Yeah.
Could you explain that
because
to me? I guess
socialism
do me
is.
One favor, explain what socialism is, like your actual definition. You know.
When I talk about socialism, I'm talking about people being dependent on the state for their provisions, essentially.
Okay, so that's not socialism.
You can say socialism is whatever you want to say, but when I use it, I'm using it as a colloquialism to refer to people wanting the state to intervene and provide them with means so that they can essentially have some level of state dependence in order to live and get by in life.
So I guess like that's the purpose of a state, right? Is to ensure a basic safe line of like roads, electricity, things like that. That's not socialism.
Well,
Socialism
in the mind of a socialist, that might be the purpose of the state, yeah.
Well, wouldn't your? I guess I would ask you like, we need to agree on baseline definitions. What's
Yeah.
the purpose of a state?
I think the purpose of the state is just to uphold the law and ensure security in general for its citizens.
And you think that is based on what? What is the law based on? Moral understanding? What's good for the gander? Give me some concrete something.
I think the law is based on the totality of the body of bills that are passed. If you're in UK, by the Parliament. If you're in the USA, by the Congress. The body of literature that constitutes the working law, and also the Constitution as a fundamental document in the USA.
Oh my God, you're really good at this, brother.
Good.
I'm having a good time. Purposeful obtuseness. You need time to fill the air. I don't believe you actually believe this stuff, brother.
Okay.
You can't really say a law is made up by what's on the books and then like that be your entire answer.
What do you think the law is?
The law is a set of morals and societal understanding set by the dominant social economic group, which is to say
Okay.
Anglo-Saxon laws in America and the UK.
So do you think that the law is just subject to interpretation based and not based on the letters of the law?
They're entirely based on interpretation. That's why we have judges to
Yes,
interpret the law, right?
but-
That's what
but-
the Supreme Court is.
But you'll recognize, as I said, the body of literature is also made up by case law, which is literally a judge's interpretation of the law written down. So that makes up the law as well. So it is still a written law because the body of
But that
case
entire
law.
thing's it's fluid and liquid though is the thing, right? Like that's the reason why I say it's set by the morals of the governing bodies because we change these things based on our society. So
But
saying it's based on
they are not allowed to just come up with laws. They interpret laws that already exist. So it's still
No.
based on the letter of the law.
No, they're totally allowed to come up with laws.
Not the
like,
judges.
I know you. No, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the separation of branches. But in that regard,
Not
when
really.
they set precedent, when they right make a determination on something that was previously law or
Yeah.
something that was a previous case study, they set precedent. That's the thing, right?
Yes.
And you effectively you give either the green light or the red light for laws that are already in progress. So they do by doing that effectively create and sign laws into being by giving them precedent. So it like the entire system's interconnected. So obviously a judge has to see what the lawmakers in his local county and things like that are doing. And I would assume that he in any way, shape, or form cares about how that affects the broader public.
So you're agreeing that the laws are interpreted and then written down through case law, through legislation?
No.
So,
I'm
you just
saying
said
that the laws are fluid things that can be changed. Well, I know what you're like.
So when they get interpreted by a judge, you can literally look up the case. It's called case law, and that's what lawyers use to argue in future cases. It is literally written down as working case law. So it is written down. So if you think that they're just kind of wantonly, I'm trying to understand your worldview. So you believe that they are, just so that I can understand, you believe that they interpret everything in order to create a way to enslave Black Americans through some kind of de facto hidden system of slavery that works through the prison system. Is that accurate?
Rage bait top tier. No, I'm saying
Okay.
that we live in a system that creates outcomes based on material conditions. Those material conditions are observable and the outcomes are observable. And we can observe the correlation and change them, which is to say, we have a system of capitalism, which is accumulation of wealth, whether that be land wealth, material wealth, whatever you want to value in the society at that time. We have groups of people who are directly excluded from that, leaving them no choice but to skirt around the outer bits of society, which have been purposely criminalized in order to make the mainstream of society function, which is to say, you can't grow plants in certain sections of America. You can't even grow seeds from the food that you own here in America because they're owned by corporations, right? The seeds here in America are owned by corporations. So you have this system that makes illegal and immoral anything that does not benefit those at the top and criminalizes, punish, and exploits those at the bottom. So which is to say, Black people just happen to be the people at the bottom. It has nothing to do with Black people directly. Black people ain't no different than white folks. It's just those are the people who got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, because
That's
I was
what
gonna ask, wouldn't those laws technically apply to all races? So don't you think that the Black Americans should then start copying what the Asian Americans and the Indian Americans and the white Americans do to prosper,
No.
instead of doing other shit that is making them not prosperous.
No, because the only reason they aren't prospering is because the system at large is
But
discriminatory
you
and
just
exclusionary.
said that the system criminalizes certain things, but then the Black Americans are more likely to do those things. So why don't they do the things that the other groups of people are doing instead?
Because they're excluded from them. That's what redlining and
They're
things
not
like that are.
excluded
That's
from
exclusion.
buying land. They're not excluded from
That's
having
literally what
families with.
redlining is.
Let me finish
Exclusion from buying
speaking.
land.
They're not excluded from buying land. They're not excluded from having two-parent homes. They're not excluded from staying in their mother's house and pooling resources together until they can get a mortgage or buy a commercial property. They're not excluded from starting online businesses. They're not excluded from moving to different places in the country. They're not excluded from building up their own communities and reporting people who sell drugs in their communities to the police. They're not excluded from doing any of those things.
They literally are. That's what redlining is.
No, it's not.
What is redlining?
Redlining has nothing to do with preventing people from buying land.
What is it? Can you explain to me what it is then?
Redlining is your theory that they district out certain places, and those people that live in those places have lower credit ratings, and that it's designed to target, let's just say, people who are lower socioeconomically developed. And it's designed, in your opinion, it makes Black people lack access to finance and capital, and you're alleging that that's why they're not able to build wealth in America to the same extent as other groups of people.
Brother, oh brother.
Is that
You know,
correct?
it's funny. No, because you're just
Okay,
repeating the words I said back to me without
Explain
being
what.
frauded.
Well, you asked me if I know what redlining is, and I explained to you that I clearly know what it is. But I'm suggesting
No.
that doesn't prevent people from buying land and having two-parent homes.
No, you. So what you're doing, right, is you're being purposefully.
You're just accusing
getting-
me, because you see, the thing is, you are projecting. So that's why you keep trying to think about what I'm doing. But that's not a masculine way to speak to someone.
Masculine?
You're trying to
Ew,
like
brother.
you're trying to like think about me and what I'm thinking. Why don't you think about what you're thinking? Because I'm thinking about my thoughts and reasoning out my thoughts, and you're being too passive. You're trying to think about what I'm trying to do, but it's a hallucination of your own mind. I'm just having a normal conversation with you, but instead of focusing on what your point is, you keep thinking about what you think I'm trying to do.
I've made very poignant and very precise points that specifically highlight a system of discrimination, right? And you kind of like separate everything I say into these kind of like buzzwords because you're getting content out of it. It's fun for me to practice my theory.
But explain how your theory prevents Black Americans from buying land or having two-parent homes. Two things which clearly are good
explain how
decisions.
a history of economic discrimination in the form of Jim Crow laws and black codes excluding people from economic viability. Explain that. Is that what you're asking?
Well, Black Americans are more wealthy than pretty much every other group of Black people in the world. So it's not
Yes,
like,
because they're part of the labor aristocracy.
so it's
They
not like they
benefit.
don't have the ability to accumulate wealth. I know wealthy Black people in America. In fact, I know multimillionaires in America that are Black.
Cool. Does the exception define the rule,
Do you
or
know
does
what?
the
The
exception?
reason why they're multimillionaires is because they understand how America works, and they bought land and they worked and they didn't think how you're thinking. They're not socialists, so they understand that if you live in a system, you have to learn the rules of the system and play the game so that you can prosper, instead of constantly thinking that the system is designed to go against you. You have to outcompete. And I do agree that there are things that disproportionately target Black Americans, but I also think that there are things that disproportionately affect white Americans and other groups in society as well.
It doesn't pan out statistically though, right? Like for every dollar a black family has here, the average white family has 100, and that's due to systemic wealth inequality, right? That's just a statistical fact. You can't, like, I don't know. It's like you're trying to separate material reality from personal choice. My choices are
You
limited
think
by my
that
reality.
your socialist paradigm is the material reality, and that you're not obliged to justify why it's the material reality. You think that
What do you mean?
are,
I've
you
explained to
basically
you,
think
right?
that
We're
by default your way of viewing the world is correct, and thereby I must be deliberately being obtuse and trying to deviate from reality, because your perception is that your socialist paradigm is the only possible reality.
No. It's just purely from a capitalistic aspect, right? We're talking about people accumulating wealth, buying land, things like that, right, to generate generational wealth. We're talking about, in a purely capitalistic setting, people being excluded from that. And you're saying, oh, they were just supposed to do the other parts that they weren't excluded from. That's what you're saying to me, because it's really interesting.
I'm saying that groups of people will always function to work to their own benefit, and that will necessarily exclude other groups of people. And the only way that other groups of people let me finish. The only way that other groups of people can contend with that is by competing with that capital in another sense. It's like, for example, if me and you are in a room and there's a girl and both of us have a crush on the girl, we are in a form of competition. And the only way I can get the girl is by being more appealing to her. Now, if every time we're in a room, you get the girl and I don't get the girl, I gotta figure something out. Because if I just constantly sit there and complain, well, I didn't get the girl because you come along and you flash your cash, or you come along and you do that thing you do where you make me look like I'm a weenie. Like, if you constantly are focused on what if I'm constantly focused on what you're doing to get the girl, and I never study it and think, what can I do to improve my opportunity to do that? If your only tactic is to say, you have to, every time you get a girl, allow me access to the girl as well, then over the long term, you're just going to be dependent, or I'm just going to be dependent on you every time I want access to women.
What about the girls' autonomy in this? Equating systemic inequality to a random lady is so weird, bro. And also, again, we can both bang this chick. I don't understand where this is coming from. This is wild.
If I'm unable to bang the girl, and my only perspective,
I didn't take her from you. She said
the reason why I use the girl as an example is because a girl is an analogy of somebody who has a choice where they want to go, and their choice is not based necessarily on some systemic factor. It's just where the girl wants to go based on the incentive.
Are you single, man?
No, but that's why I'm using the girl example, because your analogy is as if there's an imaginary power that prevents you from getting the girl. But in reality, the girl is going where she wants to go. She's going where makes most sense. So that's where capital flows in a capitalist system. It flows to the people who have the most ability to leverage
violence allows it.
But it's not just about that. It's also about
it's entirely about that.
But okay, why is it then that the African Americans that understand the system better have less disparity?
What are you talking about?
Why is it that African Americans that are more educated, that have two-parent homes, that invest their money in the stock market, that live in outside of high-crime inner-city areas, why are they more prosperous?
Because they're allowed to.
No, it's because they make decisions. It's because they make decisions that make it more conducive, more attractive for capital to flow in their direction.
Yeah, he woke up and decided, I'm not gonna divorce my wife. I ain't gonna do it, bro.
Do you get it,
brother?
It's my fault that
and that's why someone like me will come to America and outperform you, because I understand it.
You don't know anything about me socially. You have no clue who I work for. What do you mean?
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it feels like you're projecting something, brother.
I'm projecting African immigrant supremacy. Now I'm joking.
No, I know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, statistically speaking, they do better, right? Because they haven't been excluded from the systems of their country, so they're good to come here and participate in the systems of ours.
It's because we have an outsider's perspective. We see it in a way that you don't see it. Generally,
do you know where I'm from?
Where you from?
So I'm American, yeah, but I'm a military guy, so I've been all around the world for quite a few years.
Okay.
And one thing I'll say is only people who tend to be in the Anglosphere agree with you when it comes to African immigrants, right? Because when I speak to people from the Congo, when I speak to people from Sudan, when I speak to people from any of the non-Francophone nations, let's call them that, they all tend to have my viewpoint.
Okay. Which is that, that it's difficult. What is the viewpoint? You're saying that Black Americans are uniquely oppressed in a way that African immigrants are not?
No, they say that it isn't about Africanness or blackness in that regard. They understand that a person coming that has the ability to fly himself or sail across another nation economically is inherently in a higher position than someone who is born somewhere else into poverty.
Yep.
Even if that place that they're born, right, has access to greater social opportunities and economic opportunities.
That's
which
true.
is to say, but I mean, yeah, that's just a fact. That's a fact of capitalism. You can't
That's
say
true.
that that's true.
That's true, but why are they out competing the native black Americans because they're not necessarily more successful than the native black Americans?
They do though. Like they obtain higher rates of degrees, things like they have a lower recidivism for crime, things like that. They do perform better because they have an innate economic advantage, right?
I don't think that's why.
That's entirely why. Let's say it like this, right? If I can afford to move into a higher class neighborhood, like you were saying earlier, I don't have that cultural proximity to gang culture or crime. That's inherently because of my economic status, right?
But they typically don't move into high class neighborhoods. They typically move into the African American community.
No. That is statistically not true. Dearborn here, right, is a great disprover of what you just said, right? Dearborn is the largest Arab community in the continental United States. And that is where they go. They create their own kind of like
what neighborhoods do you think that African immigrants are most likely to live in? Do you think they're most likely to live in proximity to other black Americans or in proximity to white Americans? Like, where do you think they're most likely to live?
They're more likely to live in proximity to themselves because America subjugates people and segregates them purposefully.
Okay. So
that's why we have like Asia Town, Mexico Town, that kind of stuff is purposeful segregation.
But these people are at an inherent disadvantage because they don't even have United States citizenship for the most part.
It doesn't matter. We don't care about that. Like,
do you know that if I had a United States citizenship, I would be a millionaire in 2 years?
You really wouldn't.
2 years.
You really wouldn't.
Maybe not 2 years. 5 years. 5 years, I'll be a millionaire.
Tell me that you're telling me you know nothing about the American economy right now, right? Our entire economic growth is based on an AI bubble that we don't have access to critical resources to, right? Like, what do you?
So you don't see any. You don't see any economic opportunity. I mean, do you think that? Where do you think the best place to be for a black person is in the world in terms of access to wealth?
Depends on what you're seeking, right? If you mean wealth as far as like being able to be like a multi-billionaire Elon Musk type, probably China, as far as like raw access to capital.
Wait, what are you talking about, bro?
The Belt and Road Initiative. What do you mean? They're investing heavily in Africa.
You think
the easiest way?
You think that the best place to become rich for a black person is China?
Access, as far as access to resources, yes. The Belt and Road Initiative is investing heavily, especially in the Central African countries.
The average person, I don't think, has the ability to get the economic outcomes from an initiative like that. You'd have to have substantial upfront capital to be involved in those kinds of investments. I'm saying,
of course,
where do you think
that's capitalism, brother?
But the most success. But this is what I don't understand is that if it's so hard and it's based on skin color, it doesn't make sense to me that people even if they are economically advantaged, why would they still be able to come and be prosperous? Because that clearly shows that it's possible for a black person to be prosperous in America.
No, it doesn't, right? Because you're still limited, right? You'd never, like, even in Elon Musk company, right? This man from South Africa, he is within himself an immigrant to America, right? He's been sued multiple times for discrimination against his African descent employees, people who came from the same country as him, right? These are people who are literally immigrated from the same place as him, trying to work with him, right? And that's personal racism.
Well, you can't say just because somebody sued someone that means
no, it's not just because. What I'm showing you are examples of barriers.
When people are wealthy, they always get civil rights lawsuits, and in the UK they get Equality Act lawsuits, or they get, every wealthy guy I know, as soon as you hit a certain level of wealth, some girl comes out and says, "Oh, he touched my bum." Like, that's common for wealthy people to get sued. That doesn't make them racist.
Oof. No, that doesn't make them racist, but they're direct comments on stature, dude, of law.
Where do you think would be better to be? Do you think it would be better to be in the UK as a black person?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
Have you considered moving over to the UK?
Yeah, I'm trying to move right now. Yeah, yeah. Not to
Okay.
the UK. I'll probably gonna go to Asia myself.
To like China?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what
I've been studying Mandarin for a while, actually.
do you know what regression to the mean is?
Regression to the mean.
Yeah.
Explain it to me.
So
Explain it to me like I'm five.
so statistically, if an individual is part of a population group, they with notwithstanding any other external factors, they are most likely to be at the average data point of that group, right? So that means that if you have children in Asia, their outcomes will be more close to the mean of the average Asian. But let's say they're half black. Obviously, there's going to be other factors that affect it. But let's assume you were an Asian guy. Your children, if you live in Asia, they're probably going to have outcomes similar to the average Asian person. So even if you're an outlier, even if you're highly successful, when you move to these countries that are in East Asia or in Southeast Asia, expecting that, oh, you know, there's opportunity for me and I'm going to have a great outcome, your children, if they're born in that country, are more likely to have outcomes similar to the average person of that country.
Okay, okay. So assuming that's true statistically, I'm pretty sure China ranks higher than us in literacy, mathematics, attainment of higher education. That seems like a general upgrade for my children. Yeah.
Yeah, but they won't have freedom. They won't have freedom of speech. They are going to have lower economic output, lower wages. You okay with
It
that?
doesn't really matter if their quality of life is higher. Yeah.
You think
Like
that
on the
Chinese
happiness.
people have a higher quality of life than Americans?
De facto, I've spoken to people from China. So my Chinese teacher, a woman who migrated here 20 years ago, she still goes back every once in a while. She's a like 5 foot little Muslim lady. But point is, I've spoken to her, her family and stuff like that, and she's kind of like been showing our classes these like her village, like when she first left. It was a little fucking mud hut
That's a
out in the
good
middle
point.
of nowhere,
That's
and
a
now
good
it's like a
point.
small town.
Yeah, because of
But my point
American,
is saying is
because of the
most
World
people
Bank.
generally have a positive
Because the
outlook on
World
growth in
Bank
China.
gave China American money because of capitalism. So, by the way,
Of
radical
capitalism,
mothering.
is that what you think?
The reason why China developed is because it adopted capitalist economic policy and it got loans from the World Bank. It basically got American money to develop its manufacturing. Radical Mothering raised a really good point. She said institutional racism against blacks in China is documented, but you want to go there. So you want to go from being roughly a 13% minority to being like a 0.1% minority, knowing that minority groups experience, according to you, oppression by the majority. Why would you want to be
Yeah,
more
yeah, I
oppressed?
do, because the economic baseline in China is different than the economic baseline in America. Extreme poverty in China is subsidized to a level that it is not subsidized in America.
Maybe
You
in
will
the major
generally live
cities,
a
but
more
there's still
comfortable life.
people who live in villages in China. And remember, China, they doctor their their data that comes out of the country because the government controls everything. So they are able to have a
You think they're the only people who do propaganda, or is
no,
that
I don't
like,
think they're the only people that do it. I think that it's difficult to know what a place is like if you don't have freedom of speech in that place.
I mean, again, my teacher, she flies back and forth from home. I don't think she's a Xi Jinping agent to lie to my class.
But
about
what
how
would
to
happen if your teacher went in public and said, F the Chinese Communist Party, I hate this place, and anybody who's got smoke and wants a problem with it, come and do something about it? What would happen?
I don't know, probably the same thing who said to someone who said something similar in a bunch of other countries, man. Nothing.
Would it be similar
The Chinese
to...
government isn't going to fly to America to kidnap my teacher.
No, if she's in China and she says that, what would happen to her?
I don't know.
Well, you should look into that because that's where America has the edge on a lot of
What
places.
you think is going to be a Tiananmen Square incident?
She would probably get arrested.
No,
No?
no.
Do you think that China has freedom of speech?
In comparison to America, yeah, I do. Look at his face, love. Look at his face, love. Oh,
Okay, well, as someone said, you can say bye-bye to TikTok then. All right, man. Well, nice speaking to you.
yeah, of course. It was fun.
All right.
Have a good one, mate.
Yeah, take care. So, yeah, I find it bizarre. Like, a lot of the people that I debate with, they are self-admitted socialists, and it's like we're living in two alternate realities. I think maybe there was a time when I used to think like that. I can't really remember, because I've always been pretty switched on. I don't know, maybe when I was like 13, because I remember once I wrote a song and it was like, hope to be a light to shine bright in these dark days. I mark right, native son, Richard Wright. My rhyme sickness hopefully will black. Those in opposition to liberal propositions, fuck right, go left. So I wrote that when I was like 13. So that means I was probably a little lefty when I was 13. It must have been, because why would I say that, right? But then, when I was like 14, I wrote, in this game to, wait, what was it? In this game to elevate yourself to, wait, what was it again? In this game to elevate yourself? In this game to elevate yourself to the necessary point of lavishment, you have to pay dues like the American establishment and rhyme cool. But some boys just weren't designed to. Hottest ninjas rap convention cycles. Fuck it, I'll just write hard bars as fuel to burn up wolf with. But these times you gotta stay fly too. Jeez. Yeah, I used to rap, guys. But but yeah, if I wrote that song, the first song when I was 13, and I'm talking about fuck right, go left, and then by the time I'm 14, I'm saying you have to pay dues like the American establishment. Come on, G. Switched on from 14. Let's get another guest on. Kingston says tap dancer. Really? You're jealous. Cag says it's like plaiting fog.
Yeah, brother, can you
trying
hear
to
me?
debate with social. I love that expression. It's like plaiting fog. Hilarious. What's up?
Hello, can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
How you doing?
I feel good actually right now. Pretty good.
Do you know what, mate? Your live has been banging tonight.
Oh, cheers.
Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Cheers, mate.
So, firstly, what I will say is the one thing that makes us both great, the country, is our democracy, without a doubt.
Yeah, man. People underestimate how lucky we are to have a tradition of freedom of expression and a general amount of economic prosperity. Like, we really, I think, especially freedom of speech, we take that shit for granted so badly. Like, imagine living in China and then like something bad happens to you, like a police officer abuses you, and then you're trying to get justice, and then like you're speaking out, you get arrested and put in a camp. Like I'm not saying that doesn't happen ever in America or the UK. Shit happens everywhere, but like at least you want to be someone with a tradition where the people think that's wrong, fuck that, get the press involved. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly, brother. And you know what, by the way, my name's Tom. I didn't know how to change the name on the thing. I'm not that TikTok savvy, brother. But basically as well, what you got, like, there's so many points brought up tonight. The gun issue, hospitals out there. And you know, I was thinking to myself, you know, I'm a big UK fan. I love the legacy, our tradition. And I do think the Yanks have took that over there with them.
Careful with that word. I think TikTok doesn't like it.
Americans?
Yeah.
So we give them a lot of tradition. They've took it on. They're a bit more hyper than us about it, but they still do it well, you know. Like you say with the gun thing, like, and you mentioned it about how people are. Everyone can be a bit like, you know, what was the word you used? I can't remember now. It was like evil, basically. And I thought, yeah, but everyone can be good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't. Exactly, you can't paint everyone with the same brush, can you?
You know, when I first started driving, I remember being on the motorway, and I had this feeling for like months of like, I'm doing something wrong, because I felt like it's weird that we have the ability to just get in a car, do 70 miles per hour. And I remember thinking like, if I literally just wanted to, I could just veer off the road. You know what I mean? I remember thinking like, and it's because I feel like it's so ingrained in us nowadays to be fearful of the state. It's like in the UK, I feel like people always have this feeling of like, I'm doing something wrong, or am I doing something wrong? Yeah. And I'm not saying everyone does, but that's how I imagine UK citizens feel about guns in America. Like they think that you would just have a gun and do something crazy, but it's like the same thing as being on the motorway. Like, why would you just destroy your life and everyone's life around you for no reason? It's not like you can just shoot someone and nothing's going to happen. Like, you're going to get arrested, you're going to go to prison, you're going to have to live with the fact that you took someone's life, you're going to be taken from your kids are going to go into care, like, your family's going to disown you. Shooting someone is not just like, hey, I'm just going to shoot someone. Like, that is you now basically just destroying your whole life. Nobody has the incentive.
It's a small percentage, isn't it, that do it, let's be honest. Look at America, it's a continent, mate.
People act like someone would just be like, because I have a gun, now I'm just going to destroy someone's life and my kid's life and make my mother cry, and just, now I'm going to go to prison where there's criminal gangs who are going to extort me. Like, who does that? Who just goes, because the state lets me have guns, now I'm going to ruin my life? Like,
exactly, mate. It's like you said there, mate. You don't walk up the pavement looking over your shoulder thinking everyone's going to like come off the road and run you over, do you?
Exactly. It's like a weird... I honestly think they've done a number on us, mate. Like, they've just made us feel like we can't exist without the state. I find, honestly, in the UK, I find myself thinking about the government every day. It's like, it feels like I got the monkey on my back. Every time I go out, like, mate, if I show you the amount of speeding tickets I got, the amount of that shit doesn't happen in America. Like, it's very rare, because here we have robot computer cameras that send the ticket to your house. Nobody talks about this shit, but it affects everyone. It fucks up your morale. You driving to Birmingham, oh, you got a ULEZ fine. You driving to London, oh, you got a ULEZ fine. Like, it is weird. Like, how every time I come back to the UK, I feel like a heightened sense of tension, where I feel like the government is just more involved.
But that's the thing as well, which I like to say makes the UK great, is you can fight it all. And once you fight it, they back down. Because, like I say, they think people are naive in the UK. Like, for example, like, I know this is a really random one, but a parking ticket. Say you go and park somewhere, like in a parking lot or wherever, and you get a fine, yeah? It's not law when they give you a fine if, like, you don't pay for the ticket. So you can fight that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, but what they do, they send you a fine, say pay 25 quid now, and you don't have to pay 50 quid in 2 weeks. So it's like one of them, oh, if I pay it now, then I won't have to pay that.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. And, like, the thing is, if you, like, wise up, look into these little things, you can, like, fucking really basically push back, because
you can,
especially you must know as well, the UK, where they're money grabbing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not. I'm not saying you can't fight. Like, I've fought stuff before. I've done. What's that thing you do in court? Is it statutory declaration or something like that? Yeah, like I've fought things in court before. But the thing is, it's that feeling of your state wanting to destroy you, like that. That is a really, like, uncomfortable feeling. Like the NHS killed my daughter, so I have that feeling times 10 billion, because they covered up my daughter's death, and, like, they're trying to put me in prison because I'm speaking about it and stuff like that. So I have it way more than the average person. But even before that, it was like, why is our government so tyrannical? Like, they really are insecure fuckers that want to.
Mate, I tell you what, it's the reason we lost America, because King George overtaxed them, pushed them to a point where they fought us back. You know, if he didn't do that, I'll be honest, the British flag would be flying out there, all that land, that profit. You know, we'd be.
They always overstep their mark, don't they? Like, they take it too far, because, you know, a lot of the people I've met some people that work in UK government, like actual, like, high up in UK government. And, you know, this is going to sound super, like, some people might think this is ignorant or macho, but I'm telling you, man, these people, they don't have any, like, masculine aura. Like, when they walk in the room, the energy they have is like, and this is not, I'm not a bully, I'm not trying to hate on anyone, but, like, you know, like a kid in class that got, like, bullied or something, like, that's their kind of energy. Like, they don't have that, like, leadership energy. And that really played on my mind when I met these people, because I just thought, it's just unnatural. It's like something's not right. Like, why are the people? Because I feel like people that are not natural leaders. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, my brother, he's like a natural leader. Like, you can't take it away from him. He's just a natural leader. And it's like, I feel like people like that, they're less insecure. They're less tyrannical because they know what it is like to be a leader. And it's like, they understand responsibility. They don't want to abuse people because they're used to having power. Do you get it? But when you give insecure, weak people power, they always overstep their mark because they're not used to it. They don't. They think that people who are naturally powerful are tyrants because they don't understand them. But people who are naturally powerful are typically not tyrants. It's insecure, weak people that become tyrants. Rant over, mate. Sorry, I don't know if it's still there. Bro, I was spitting. Guys, someone give me some come on, give me a like or something. Send me a gift.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, brother, like I'm saying, you've got a company, let's say, sell cars. They're going to give you a nice aura, whatever, because they want your money. With the government, they know they can. You've got to give it, and if you don't, you go to prison.
Exactly. They don't even have to sugarcoat it. They don't even use Vaseline, bro. They don't even give you a little dollop of Vaseline. They don't use Vaseline, bro. They don't even, bro. I'm telling you, when I dealt with the NHS when they killed my daughter, bro, I'm telling you.
I'm sorry, by the way.
It's alright, bro. These people, they literally, they don't even hide that they're covering it up. They literally look at you like, you say to them like, you know, I've got the evidence of it, and they're just like, and then they're just like, right, they just call bro. They just called security on me and like, yeah, get him off the ward because they literally
the
are tyrants.
Mate, a large portion of it is due to people suing.
Yeah.
It's huge. Right, I'll tell you a little story. When I was young, maybe about 6 or whatever, I dislocated 2 fingers. True story. And by the way, I was from Croydon, South London, and I went down to Mayday, and it was a training school for doctors. The bloke reset my fingers. I went back 4 weeks and had a junior doctor. He come in and he grabbed the wrong file. And basically, he grabbed the x-rays of my fingers already dislocated. So basically, when you put a dislocation back, you pull it out and put it back in. So this guy, he was like, oh, hello, like, my name's Tom. He said, hi, Tom, give me a hand. And he done it really quick. So he pulled my fingers back out and put them back in, mate. And my mum went fucking crazy, sued the shit out of them. Just because this cunt couldn't read a file or a date.
Yeah, litigation culture, they call it, I think. But yeah, not to make this about the NHS because I talk about them all the time. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, something's not right when you have people like this in charge. They overstep. They're tyrannical. They don't know how to handle power. I think that whoever comes next to lead this country, because I don't think Reform got the answers. Labour, Conservative, I don't think they have the answers. The UK.
The thing is, with it all, mate, it's like we can't vote for the Labour is shit, the Tories is shit. So if everyone went back and voted for the Tories, there's that famous saying, mate: insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So what do you do? I think the whole system's broken, needs rearranging. I mean, what do you do? We don't know. But like you said, with the Americans, what I do like about, especially about their hospitals, I know people think you got to pay 20 grand just like go and get a plaster, which is a load of shit.
It's not really like that. But
no.
Do you know what? I'll let you have the last word. I'm going to wrap it up for today. We've done about 2 hours live. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for the gift, especially User 568. Appreciate the support. Obviously, we talk about healthcare all the time. But please come back, Tom, and speak to us because I like you, mate. I like speaking to you. You're a cool guy, but it's just that I got to wrap it up. I haven't actually eaten today. I've been eating a lot less recently. I kind of do hybrid. Like I got my whole setup here, so I've been so efficient recently that I've just lost, my normal food instincts and stuff, and I'll probably go see my kids as well in a sec. So
awesome, mate. Great live. I followed you. Hopefully talk again soon, brother.
Yeah, nice speaking. All right,
I'll mate.
Thank you, everyone, for the live. So guys, by the way, I've started putting clips of the live on YouTube, and I really like them. So I'm not just saying this, guys. It is really entertaining. Like, I'm gonna I'm gonna actually read some of the clips that we've recently uploaded. So some of you will remember these lives, but this will be available on YouTube. It will be clipped up. So the ones we've just uploaded. Sorry about the titles. You know I'm a bit of a motherfucker. So this title: Socialist Girl Boy Caller hits every NPC talking point when debating Amma. that's the girl yesterday we had. No, not yesterday. The girl from the day when I had the Elmo hat who had a deep voice. Then I've got Black UK Caller wants to stop the boats and make kids sing God Save the King. That's another one. Then we got Amma talks about leftists being weenies and hating confident males. So you guys can watch those clips on my YouTube. And I'm going to have to come up with some clips for this live. Because that was State of Deception Live 14, because I do episode numbers now. And right now, I think this is episode 24. I think this is episode 24. So I've got 10 episodes pretty much to clip up. Some of them I won't do clips from if they're not entertaining. This live, that black guy is definitely going on there. I'll have to call his one like, let me think about it. Ultra victim, black USA NPC thinks USA government redlining is why blacks commit crime. Or some crazy shit like that to make people click. Because I'm a motherfucker, guys. Guys, I don't think you understand, like, I've been banned from so many fucking platforms. This is me being good. Like, when people come on and they're like, you're just clickbaiting to try and, like, get a rise up. I'm like, do you understand that I am probably the most anti-systemic, long-nose hating blood? I drink blood. Like, do you think I'm trying to clickbait right now? You want me to clickbait? Like, bro, don't fucking tempt me to come and click. Anyway, let me drop off, guys. Thanks everyone for the support. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Peace. Thanks YouTube. Appreciate you guys. As I say, this is gonna get clipped up and everything will be available so you can watch the clips on live. I need some love on the channel, bro. I'm getting like 1-2 views. We're gonna blow up eventually, you know, brick by brick.